Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Discourse. This is episode number 12. We just recorded a little Matrix Resurrections review. Hope you guys can check that one out. But if you're here with us, welcome. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to you. Happy National Jewish Chinese Food Day, festive, all that good stuff. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. Allison is like, shut up.
No, I was just shutting a door.
Stop saying that. I was like,
he's gone. Just like, nope, I'm done.
I was like, I'm done. Just, just snaps himself out of existence. But no, welcome, guys. We are going to be talking about our favorite Christmas movies and holiday films, that kind of thing, doing our top threes, top fives, and also talking about our favorite Christmas memories or traditions or holiday memories that we had while growing up. And again, absolute pleasure to have Emily here and Osnick here and Thunderly and Kaz Faye and Newsy Ducky and Vanny. I'm going to go ahead and, first of all, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all you guys. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. But I figure we can go ahead and start talking about our favorite films. And of course, if you have it in your list, hey, we can go into more detail. We continue to talk about it. Feel free. But I did my three favorite Christmas movie. You have five, totally fine. You can bring those up, no problem at all. I just did three for tonight. But I wanted to start with my third one. We'll go from these are obviously my favorites, but we'll go from maybe my least favorite in this particular list, but still an amazing movie that I truly love. And it's one that blends genres, which I really love. Because you typically think of like a lot of Christmas movies, like, oh, they're wholesome or they're comedies or they focus on family. And this one does that, but it's also a horror film. It also involves demonic little creatures that will murder you or eat you or do all sorts of other horrible things. I mean, I just want to throw a fucking party and watch Snow White. But one of my favorite films, Christmas movies that is Gremlins, directed by Joe Dante, a nasty little family Christmas movie that came in the 80s. Caused this film and Steven Spielberg's The Temple of Doom is what created the PG-13 rating because of its violence. This film is violence. Like I said, watch this movie, it's like, what are you talking about? Gremlins, it's fine. Don't worry about it. They're precocious. They're doing their thing. I mean, yeah, they're going around murdering people. It's okay. But it's like, wow, they really messed some people up in this film. And it's like I could see if you want to show kids this, make sure that that they're ready for it, that they're right age. So I could totally understand like the PG-13 rating for this movie because they murder a heck of a lot of people. But it's always been one of those annual classics for me. I always watched around this time of the year. I love it for its practical effects. I mean, you have this family with Billy and his father, who is just an idiot and a terrible inventor and salesman, and the mom who's just trying to hold it all together. It's just like, the only reason why I'm still married to your father is because I got to raise you. We got to make sure that you're able to get to college. I love that. I like to read into that relationship. I love how wholesome Billy is and want to do right by his family, working like 2 goddamn jobs while going to high school, interested in this girl, wants to ask her out. And he gets a new pet for Christmas in Gizmo, who is so freaking cute. I love him. I think originally voiced by I'm trying to remember. Howie Mandel. Howie Mandel did the voice of Gizmo. It's like, it's so weird. It's like, wow, okay, like the guy that does all those game shows and things, like that is indeed the man. Yeah. Germaphobe Howie Mandel, yes. But
Bobby's World.
That's right. Bobby's World indeed. But yeah, I've always loved this movie. It's a classic, and I love how, other than, because you think of like horror films around holidays, the one you always think of is, of course, Halloween. That's where a lot of them are. But if you had to pick what's the second most, the second holiday that has the most horror films kind of around it, that's also Christmas, I would say. So I think it's like the extreme. It's like, Christmas is all whimsical and it's fun and it's wholesome and family. But then you have the dark side of Christmas, which I think people like to bastardize. So I think that's funny. But I absolutely love Gremlins. That is my number 3. Does anyone have do you want to talk about Gremlins for a second? Any opinions on the film? Is it one of your favorites? Just curious.
So weird.
You go, Vanny.
No, just the rules that the Gremlins have, like can't feed them before midnight, don't get it wet.
Oh,
all that stuff is just such a bizarre premise, and it just kind of shows like the creativity of like what cocaine and writers have. When you get the right balance, you get Gremlins, and somehow you also get Gremlins too when they get magic powers.
Oh no!
Yeah, written by Chris Columbus, by the way.
Yes, it's like I grew up with Gremlins as well too, because again I grew up in the 80s.
There you go.
Again, it's just weird, and I grew up with that. I didn't even think of Gremlins when coming up with my list, but yeah, that's a solid choice. That's like a really solid choice.
Yeah. Austin, do you have something to say?
I like Gremlins 2 more, and I know you don't. I know you don't like Gremlins 2 as much, but I just like Gremlins 2 because it feels like it's the perfect example of, all right, Joe Dante, you made this money. Here's a blank check. Do whatever the heck you want, and he did whatever the heck he wanted.
He did.
He wanted Looney Tunes. You got Looney Tunes. You want to? It's just like that Key and Peele sketch where it's like, you want a sexy gremlin lady, you get a sexy gremlin lady. You want a sophisticated voice gremlin. It's like every time you have a successful movie, it's like Malignant. It's like, we're gonna give you a black check. Do whatever the heck you want. Do whatever crazy shit you want. And I appreciate it for that. As much, even though it probably isn't as good of a movie, I do appreciate it. Just it's like, go crazy.
There's a lot of people that I know personally who think Gremlins 2, who prefer Gremlins 2 over Gremlins 1. And I don't understand those people. I just don't get it. But
Wow.
I feel like I'm the minority that just dislikes that sequel. I think it's fine. I think it's okay. I think it's just lesser, but clearly a lot of people love it. And I'm in the minority.
Didn't you have Hulk Hogan in it?
Yeah.
Yes,
in the middle of the movie. I like Gremlins too. I like both Gremlins movies, to be honest. Like, listen, either movie's gonna be one of those like, it's like a piece of cake. You don't like that version of that flavor of that cake. I like this flavor. I like both flavors. That sounds weird to me. I'm kind of hungry right now.
No, that's fine.
But like, both of them, like the first one's horror, the second one's pure comedy, and I like both of them because they're different. And I just love Gizmo.
Sure. No, Gizmo's adorable. And one thing I will say about Gremlins 2 that I like his arc, and that you want to consider an arc. I like that he definitely has PTSD throughout the entire thing, because he's being tortured by whoever the new batch literally of Gremlins, and he gets this Rambo persona throughout like the last half of the film. I like that. That was cool. He's just lost it. He's like, I don't know what to do anymore.
It's super cute too, to be honest.
It's cute, and he kills a whole bunch of people. He murders a lot of Gremlins in that film. So that was always funny. Other than Gremlins, of course, if anyone has that on their list too, we can continue to talk about it. Please bring something else that no one else has brought up yet, or you just want to talk about your love for the film, please do so. My second one is a film. It's a recent movie in the last several years. Actually came out in 2019. And it's one that I remember seeing the trailer. I was like, it looks whimsical, but I was like, when I see it, I'll see it. But when I finally did see it, I said, oh, wow, this is not only it's great, but I think it's one of the best animated films from the 2010s. And that is Klaus, which was produced by Netflix, where it's basically it tells the tale of Santa Claus as we know him, where you have this, it's a period piece, and it's almost like Timeless in a way, because you don't know exactly what century it's set in, but it's quite some time ago, and it follows this very selfish postman named Jesper Johansson. And he's been getting away without doing his typical postman duties for quite some time, just sucking upon the teat of his father on the nipple. And his dad's like, I'm sick of you. I'm going to send you to to a post office, but in the worst place in the world. And it's like this far off little village near the almost close to the North Pole, very European influenced. And he goes there. All the residents are horrible, and he tries to do his duties, but he comes upon this hermit, and Klaus, who has suffered tragedy throughout his life, but had a passion for building toys. And it's about their friendship and the start of the Santa Claus legend, where they bring these villagers, these two warring families, together to stop this violence and become friends. And it, focusing obviously on the friendship of Klaus and Jesper. And I love it. It's very emotional. It made me cry when I saw it for the first time. Still got water thinking about it. but it's a beautiful movie. It's that combination of kind of like, it's not exactly 2D, but it's not exactly 3D. It's like using both those techniques, and it has a really just nice art style, which you've kind of seen recently, I guess, in the last few years, and stuff like Into the Spider-Verse or Arcane or something. And it's like, I really love this. Or Mitchell's vs. Machines most recently. But has anyone seen Klaus before?
It was a while ago.
I actually have a funny story. I don't think I ever told you this. So my dad, he's an accountant. He does a lot of Canadian stuff. He did some work for Klaus, actually. He did some
cool.
tax stuff for them. So yeah. So I remember he was the one who actually it's like, I did this because I have a friend who actually has that as his last name. Like, I did some work on this movie that it has the same last name as your friend. And I actually just remember watching it like on a Saturday night. And I just remember I think I just stayed up and watched it just because how beautiful it was.
Yeah. It's a gorgeous looking movie. It's so cute too.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's this, I'm just looking at the poster. Wow. Like there's this little girl who's clearly like Scandinavian or Norwegian or Swedish or something. And she speaks whatever the language she speaks. And like no one knows the fuck she's saying, but she's like so cute and adamant about she wants to meet Santa Claus. And it's so dope. There's so many wonderful moments that you just can't help but smile. It's like one of those feels like, really, again, a modern classic.
Also, R.I.P. Norm Macdonald.
That's right.
One of his last movies.
That was one of his last roles. And he does a great job. He plays like a sea captain who is, again, like typical Norm Macdonald fashion, very sarcastic, which I love it. Love the film. And then my number one, it almost feels like a lazy choice, but at the same time, it's the most obvious one. But it's like, yeah, there's just something about it where I watch this every year. I mean, they're gonna force you to watch it, whether it's on TBS or TNT, doing 24-hour marathons. But it's a Christmas Story. Mm-hmm. Directed by Bob Clark, starring a very young Peter Billingsley, who would one day work for Tony Stark and Mysterio. But before then, he was just Ralphie Park, and he just wanted a Red Ryder BB gun. And it's set in the 1940s. And really what it is, it almost feels like a slice of life movie. Where it's like the whole film is very much like, okay, I want to get this Red Ryder BB gun for Christmas. It's the ultimate gift. It's just him fucking scheming to try to get this the entire time. And I like it. He's kind of like, but he's a kid. He's a selfish kid. He has got no sense of morality. And I kind of like that. But then we have these little wholesome moments scattered throughout the entire film, whether it's stuff with his dad or with his mother or with his brother. And, and Dad, of course, played by the late great Darren McGavin, who's so good in this film. I love the 40s aesthetic. And it has just some great humor that has aged extraordinarily well over the years. It's a classic. Yes, it's one that, of course, you're going to pick that one, Chris. But I can't help it. It's beautiful. And it's funny because when the movie came out, like it was a moderate success when it came out. It did pretty well. But in years since then, it's made hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, just because of how many times it plays on television and VOD sales and streaming sales and things. So, yeah, it's one of those iconic Christmas movies.
Yep, that's my number one as well too.
Yeah.
There's something. It's kind of this weird mix of like, it's still at the end of the day, it's wholesome, it's super cheesy, but it, like the humor like still works really well. Like a lot of the jokes like will still crack people up for too, and there's really not even a major plot to it. It's just, to your point, it's a slice of life. It's just this kid's Christmas break, and just like him having like a very weird Christmas. And just see things through his imagination, and like it still has, I think, one of my favorite scenes ever, which is when they're at the mall and like Ralphie sits on Santa's lap and he just freaks out, doesn't know what to say, and then like as he's gonna go down the slide, like he manages to stop himself, climbs back up, tells Santa he wants to be gun, and then Santa just kicks him in the head to go down.
Ho ho ho! You shoot your eye out, kid. No, I love it. It just has these moments. Like I'd be very surprised if like no one's ever seen this movie before, but it just has those specific moments and scenes that are so ingrained in pop culture now that we reference. I don't even like how the film, like, it's funny to your point about Santa Claus, like Santa Claus as a concept is fucking horrifying. Like the idea is scary. And as kids, we love Santa Claus. Because we love hearing about him. We watch all the specials, like, he's delivered toys. Like, oh my God, this guy's, and we're confronted by him. It's actually one of my I'll be talking about this later on. But when we're confronted by him in real life, when we have to go stand on his lap at the mall or whatever, or some holiday thing, and we don't know what to do, it's scary because this guy's been built up in our minds to be, he's like him, and like, you know, whatever the equivalent was for your he's like, it's like Batman, Spider-Man, and then Santa Claus. Like, that's the top three. Yeah. It's like no one's bigger than those three. And so when we meet him, I was like, of course you're gonna cry. I did too, and that's one of my holiday memories. But yeah, any other opinions on Christmas Stories? Is it on anyone else's list too?
It's definitely. It nice. Might be my number one or number two. It just, the way it caps a kid's perspective, I would set in a completely different time period than now, and like as years go, there's still something relatable about it. It just and I also love the fact that, like, sometimes the kids get away with stuff. Yeah, and sometimes they're, like, so shitty to each other, but it's not in a complete monster kind of way. It's just they're immature. Like, they're a moment, like, the whole, I double dog dare you, I triple dog dare you. Like, that is just too real. And then they all go running inside, and they're like, well, the bell rang. I don't know.
Come back! Come back! Have to cut his tongue off. That's what they have to do in those fire department. No, you're right. You're right. It's just, I mean, because Ralph, he gets away with the lie at the end of the movie. He got what he wanted, and he almost shot his eye out, and he lied to his mom.
Yep. Exactly. It was so convincing.
He's good. He was good. Peter Billingsley, he's got that chubby face, and he's got those huge fucking blue eyes. It's like, oh my God. So he used that to his advantage.
It also works for, I think, too, because Ralphie himself, there's moments when you see him where he acts very mature and he has like, he's trying to pretend to be like an adult kind of thing. And then there's those times when then you see him do his little fantasies, like like him doing his Red Rider like imagination where he's like shooting out the bank robbers, or stuff like that. Where it's just, he reminds you he's a kid, but then there's times when, you know, like he's pretending like he's a grown up and trying to do, you know, like try to be more than what he actually is too. And I think all of us can relate to that. When you're a kid and you don't want to be at the kids' table anymore, you want to sit with the adults and talk about politics or talk about whatever it is you think adults talk about. But still, he's still a kid too. Like when he gets his Ovaltine decoder ring, or Little Orphan Annie decoder ring, and it's be sure to drink your Ovaltine, and he goes, son of a bitch.
That's right.
Like, that's it. Like, there's something like, especially me, I think I was that way as a kid too, where I wanted to be treated as an adult and be mature. But I also still wanted it. I wanted both ways. I wanted to be a kid too, and I wanted my toys, and I wanted to have my imagination and just go wild with it too. And I think Ralphie just so perfectly encapsulates that, of just having that mix, where he's not just a hunter thing. Where I think even like it's on my list is like a Home Alone with like Kevin McAllister, who's straight up just a child throughout the entire thing, with maybe one or two brief moments of maturity, like when he goes grocery shopping. Like, that's it. Like, you get one or two moments and that's it. Ralphie is a balance, I think. And that's why I think he becomes so instantly relatable, too.
It's just such an earnest movie.
Yes.
That's what it is. It's like, even if, like, as Cassie brought up, it's a period piece. It takes place decades ago. But there's timeless things about it that have aged well. It's like, I've had something like that happen to me when I was a kid, when I was with my friends, or we treated each other like shit because over this thing. Yeah, it's one of those. It's always going to be. It's never going to go out of style. It's never going to be forgotten. It's always going to be held up as an example of just this classic. Yeah. So, and that's why it's so often regarded as the greatest Christmas movie of all time, because of all those things. Not because it's a Christmas film, it's because of all these very earnest moments, these great performances. Whether they go from being very comedic, you know, with everything in regards to like the father, or just super wholesome and real, like with the mother, realizing that Ralphie was being bullied by this kid. And I'm like, I'm not going to tell your dad that you got in a fight with him, because fuck that kid, he deserved it. So, and like it's these little things. It's perfect.
Well, even that she told him like he got into a fight, I was like, oh, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. He fought a bully, and just like they just treat him like, you know what, like I get it, it's fine. And I think that's the biggest one. I think the casting for this, even for the parents, looks so perfect. They look like the honeymooners. They look like they're going to argue all the time, or that they're just they almost have the appearance of looking like they're in a loveless marriage, but they genuinely love each other so much. And it's part of that sacrifice. It's why this movie is so sweet and earnest too, is because they look like your family, but they're a little better. Yeah, and that's kind of what you would want. You want, I grew up in a home of divorce, and my parents fought and yelled at each other and all that. But then you see those two characters look like my parents, sort of. But to see them actually get along and to have that wholesomeness is just, I think there's that part of you that wishes you had that family. Like I wish I had Ralphie's family.
Yeah, they have their moments of conflict, but it's never to the point where they never like they're screaming at each other.
No, never.
You know, even like when we have the leg and everything, and where the mother. By the way, the mother, she got top bill in this movie, which I think was pretty cool. Melinda Dillon. She obviously broke the leg on purpose. And he's like, you're thinking, okay, now he's gonna smack her around, but he doesn't.
No,
he doesn't do that. No, he's mad at her because he knows what she did. But even at the end of the film, we have that moment where they're cuddling with each other on the couch.
Yeah.
Like isn't that like one of the last scenes we see is them on the couch looking outside as it's snowing. So it's like
they're watching. Yeah, she sits on his lap and they would just look at the snow. Yeah,
it's a beautiful way to end that movie.
Yeah. Again, there's no real conflict. There's no real villain to this thing too. Even when like Ralphie gets the gun too, like his mom's like, "Are you sure about this? Is a bad idea." He's like, "I had a gun when I was his age. It's fine." Like you can tell, like it's just like don't worry. If he hurts himself, every kid gets hurt. Fuck it, whatever.
True.
It's silly, but it's mature. It's real, but it's fantasy. It's just heightened enough. It just works on every level.
Perfect blend of everything. Agreed.
Yeah. Again, I want to be my parents.
Yeah, totally understand. No, I get it. Yeah, I mean, listen, I similar familiar situation to you, Vanny. So I get that. Like you see, that's like, oh, that's what it should be. Oh, that's nice. Wish I had that. So I get that totally. Well, those are my top three, and I guess we'll just we'll go down the line, get everyone a chance to speak. And so, Emily, you want to do your top three Christmas? And after we do our top three, then we'll go into like individual like Christmas memories. Like we'll pick like one or two or several, how many you want to bring up. I have two in particular, but Emily, your top three Christmas movies or holiday films, I should say. Or we can go to Austinic. I think Emily might be away from keyboard at the moment. But that's totally fine. Austinic, I'm actually curious about you. Because you don't celebrate Christmas, obviously. But I wanted to ask you, what are some of your favorite holiday films?
So there is not a lot of Hanukkah movies, sadly. And the only one that's out there is 8 Crazy Nights. That's horrible.
You got the Rugrats specials.
That's a special. That doesn't count. That's not a movie.
That's how I learned about Hanukkah. I was like, oh, I get it.
So I'm here. I'm just playing with my dog.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? We'll go back to you once after Austinic is talks about his top three.
Okay, so my top three, I do enjoy some Christmas movies. I'm not a big. I've never really watched Christmas Story. I'll be honest with you.
Wow. Okay, so you're the one. Interesting.
I've also, someone will probably bring it up. I've also never seen any of the Lethal Weapons.
Oh, definitely see the first two.
Mm-hmm. Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand.
That part doesn't age well.
That makes sense. Yes. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Sorry, I just got a message, but
anyway,
so my first favorite Christmas movie, and it was one you recently talked about, is Batman Returns with Danny DeVito.
That's good.
Christopher Walken. Generally, actually, kind of going back to what you said is early. I do have a very early Hanukkah memory of watching kind of the part where a penguin comes up with the whole speech and then just the boat and the duck boat and then steals Christopher Walken and watch. It's probably like the first Batman thing I ever saw, and it just kind of interesting. And also, I had my brother was older than me, so I had a lot of his hand-me-down toys, and I actually had all the Happy Meal toys from this movie.
That's good.
Which it made happy, but.
It was not a happy meal having that penguin that squirts water out. I was like, nah, I'm good.
I recently watched and I generally still really love this movie. I loved it's a really good noir kind of Batman movie. I love just the score is amazing. Something about Gotham in the Snow
right there
is
with you, man.
Really beautiful.
100%.
I think for Catwoman and Penguin, I love Danny DeVito in this, but I kind of just wish he was a little bit more of a normal person instead of the weird monster he is. Because I'm like, I forgot didn't really have hands and
flippers,
and he like grew up in a circus, and there is some like kind of repeating stuff in the first movie, and like the first 30 minutes, there's barely any Batman.
Oh yeah,
but I really just like how weird and crazy. Like you have Catwoman basically dressed up in like the BDSM suit, which I mean, it's very iconic, and just the cinematography and the lighting and the coloring of everything. It's like her even stealing to Kyle's apartment, and just, like,
the production design is great.
Yeah, and I love just all the like the weird frozen kind of abandoned zoo that all the finale happens, and like
Polar World or whatever it's called.
And I can kind of forgive the like penguins and the rockets and the like him controlling Batman in his car and like a little amusement ride thingy and like all the weird stuff. It's just like, well, comic book stuff. Very
much so.
It made me think about, it's like, well, Christopher Walken's in this. Danny DeVito. Why is Tim Curry not in this bit? Like, just get all the crazy people of the 90s in this movie.
Oh yeah, Tim Curry should have been in this movie, just doing weird shit.
I know. It's just like you have all these great, like, I mean, and everyone does a very good job, and I think it's an interesting take. And again, kind of, I know you said this because I was watching the DT Bite before this, where you're talking about. I would like to see Danny DeVito come back as the Penguin, but just maybe as just like an older gangster, basically, and not like the weird abomination. Like he's basically the trash man in this movie.
He absolutely is. Mm-hmm. I think Always Sunny in Philadelphia is a prequel to Batman Returns. I think it's inevitable where we're going to end up with him.
And throw the babies in the trash.
Oh my god!
And I like his weird I don't know why, but I like the idea that he's a weird Moses allegory. The whole like he was thrown out in a pay and then raised by penguins, and then he's gonna, kill.
Oh, that's why you like it. I get it now.
No, but I'm just like, that's an interesting idea because funny. he's the antagonist. He's not usually. That's always the protagonist. Is the Moses
the hero,
character.
Very much so. Yeah, man, I'm right there with you. No, I'm sorry. Keep going.
No, you can say your thing.
No, also gonna say no. Listen, because I've done a review for this recently. I've done audio video commentary for it recently within this past month. And no, I mean, I like this movie. I think there's stuff about it that doesn't make any sense. There are a lot of plot holes. There are too many subplots. And we got Christopher Walken's character of Max Schreck, who is ridiculous throughout this movie, where he builds power plants, but he wants to build a power plant that sucks energy out of Gotham. It's like, okay. And that just goes away later on. Or like, I need to get a new politician in there, and I'm gonna have the Penguin be the new mayor, but there's no mayoral election happening. And it's like, okay, if you say it's just there's weird subplots and weird plots in this movie. And there's plot holes, but listen, I'm right there with you 100%. Where aesthetically, I love the look of this movie. I love Gotham in the winter, and I appreciate how committed. Clearly, Michelle Pfeiffer and Danny DeVito are so committed to their roles. I mean, they're chewing scenery constantly. Michelle Pfeiffer's case, licking it, and Danny DeVito just lusted after it. It's a fun movie. It's fun, it's flawed, and it's beautiful to look at. And like you said, the score is great. So no, I have a huge appreciation for this movie, much like you.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, I guess I think I can overlook the plot holes just because of how beautiful, and I think that's the problem. Where it's like it's just such a pretty movie that I can kind of turn my brain off and just be like, this is what I'm looking at. Makes me happy, and it's just I don't know. I like all the aesthetic choices. I can understand Danny DeVito's Penguin, that they kind of want to do a different thing from like Burgess Meredith, who's like kind of like this, like kind of just a rich guy.
Yeah.
And I think he's a weird character to handle because it's like, well, he's a fat old, he's kind of like the Vulture similar, whereas like he's kind of just seems like it's kind of an offensive just name for like a fat old guy who's
pretty much
bald and stuff. And so it's like, well, I think they decide to go with the more monster route instead of making him the more of like the kind of gentlemanly gangster route. And
sure, make him more of a threat. I understood what Burton wanted to do. He wanted to be like, okay, we did Joker, who's the most iconic villain ever, and it's like Penguin's kind of like always lesser. Like obviously, when you think of like Joker, it's like, no wait, Penguin meshed up the Joker, so let's make him a literal fucking monster. So yeah, I totally understand why they did it. And
I think Keaton does a better Batman in this than maybe the first one. I know it's a little bit, there's not as much on him, but I think the scenes we get, and I think some of the like action and like stuff feels Batman-y, more so Batman-y. And it's also like looking at Burns' other work with Keaton, it's like he's very subdued, which I think I like in this movie, as he's the, you know, because he's Batman, he's like the reason and justice, but he kind of, he's a good break from all the craziness of like Danny DeVito and Christopher Walken.
Or Michelle Pfeiffer.
And Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny that he is the most sane out of all those people, and yet he is also crazy. He dresses up a goddamn bat. No, listen, I'm right there with you, man. Even like, because Keaton is, I think he looks great in the suit, and I like when he has scenes. Because he's never the focus of these movies, sadly. But I do like him as Batman. And man, I can't help it. It's like, yeah, it doesn't make any goddamn sense why he has all these giant mirrors on these Batman mirrors on his like, why does fucking Bruce Wayne have a shit ton of like bat signal mirrors on his mansion?
Or even like the DJ Alfred moment, which that feels like a studio note.
Like a heart from hell.
Yeah, the kids love the CDs, right? And that was a big thing. That was because I think they were making the switch from cassettes to CDs. I want to say it around the 90s.
That's around then, yeah.
So yeah, it makes sense. Like, put something for the kids.
I'll say one other criticism though is Billy D should have been in it. I know it's just like there's a weird contract issue with why he wasn't in it, but I'm like, why isn't Billy D. Williams in this movie?
It would have made sense. I get why they elected a new mayor, because the other guy was a fucking idiot. So I would have made sure, like, yeah, we gotta get rid of him. But yeah, no, I wish Billy D. Williams was in this. That would be cool. And you know, I thought it would have been awesome to eventually have him as Two-Face in another film, but never came to be, sadly. But one last, but I like it though. Like, to your point about Keaton having those moments and just being very Batman-esque or just cool. Like, I like it when we first see him, he's just fucking brooding in the dark, which is such a Bruce Wayne Batman thing to do. I was like, yeah. I mean, it doesn't make any sense how this is happening, but I like the images. I like the pictures. So I'm right there with you.
I like all the weird henchmen that are dressed up as devils and clowns.
Clowns and shit. Yeah. The Red Triangle Gang. That's right. What's your number 2?
I guess I didn't put these in order. I just
it's fine.
I was sort of just making a list of ones I liked. I was gonna pick a kind of weird one. I was gonna say the MS3 T3K.
Oh, Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yeah, I was gonna say those. They've done a lot. I know everyone remembers Santa Claus versus the Martians and Have a Patrick Swayze Christmas. Santa Claus is also, I think, they're notable where Santa Claus has to fight the devil. But I was gonna go with the Netflix season, the weird man baby one about like it was called like the Christmas that hasn't happened or almost didn't happen. It was that movie is a weird one. All I'm gonna say is I was trying to remember it this morning. Basically, this guy buys the North Pole. He's basically the Burgermeister. He buys the North Pole and wants to evict Santa, and so Santa has like to raise the money by working at a department store as a Santa. And he has a lawyer who's very much just a very big man baby that they make a lot of jokes of, and it's just a very strange movie. I think it's like an Italian movie that got
the done. Christmas that almost wasn't. Is that what you say? Oh, interesting. Yeah, Italian 66 American film. Wow.
Yeah, it is a weird one, but I thought it was just a funny episode. I mean, because it's hard to top the like Santa Claus conquers the Martians and a lot of the other Christmas ones, but I thought they did a pretty good job.
Nice. I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, it was a pretty good for a Netflix episode. That Netflix season, I will say, has some some of the weirdest movies I've ever seen. Carnival Magic was up. Oh my god, that was the last season. I know they did Mac and Me, but they did this one. I don't know, and I'm excited because they're doing it. They're coming back. And they're doing the last one is going to be called a movie called The Christmas Dragon, and I don't know what that is, but I'm excited.
Dragon. Oh, I love that. Yeah, I just like the mystery of it. Very nice. Did you have any? Excuse me. Did you have any others?
I had a few other ones. I'll just do kind of a shorter ones. They're just more like specials and stuff. I really loved all of the other reindeer as a kid. I was a favorite one, and I think I'm glad everyone I felt like last year it had a really good resurgence. I was always I really like Home Alone 2. I don't know why. I think because Tim Curry's in that.
He's good. He's good in that one. I'll say that he's like one of the best things about that film.
I enjoy It's a Wonderful Life, but I just enjoy when Dana Carvey does Jimmy Stewart saying really dirty things because it's such a I don't know something about that is just fun.
Sure.
It's a fun movie.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, the Rugrats Hanukkah special. And
there it is. I knew it'd be in there. I knew it.
Like, what? And lastly, the last one was if you ever seen the regular show, The White Elephant Gift Exchange. It was like kind of the show it was about the raccoon and the
I know what it is.
I just know
it's one of those I just never watched, but
it was pretty. I mean, it got pretty good later seasons there. They kind of did more. I kind of said it was sort of similar to Seinfeld, where things would go off the rails, basically. Like it'd be pretty normal. Like the first episode is just they have to set up the chair, but they accidentally released the Destroyer of Worlds from a video game machine. So this one, basically, there's a guy named Muscle Man. And he's always been pranking them for like the last couple episodes. So they basically set up a white elephant, and the punishment it gets is so rewarding, and it's hard. It's basically, you watch the clip online, but it's pretty funny, and I just really enjoy that one. It's just like a 15-minute episode, but I think it really goes down to like Christmas really is about bonding, and sometimes it's just about bonding about the suffering of someone who really deserves it.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. I got regular shows. One of those shows I have to watch someday. Just haven't had the opportunity to do so.
It's. I mean, it went for a pretty long time, and there's
I know it's popular. I know it's very popular. So that was Cartoon Network. Cartoon Network. Yeah.
I also put on here the Festivus episode of Seinfeld.
Oh,
just because I love George. I love George Costanza's parents.
They're great.
But yeah, that's my list.
Nice. No, very nice. I like the variety in it. That was really cool. Very, very cool. Thunder Lee, what about yourself, sir? Your favorite Christmas movies, holiday films?
Ooh, one of them is kind of like a horror film, but not really. It's weird. It's called Night of the Comet. It's
I know that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an 80s film. It's about these sisters, and like there was like parties and stuff because I think a comet was hitting to Earth and just obliterates like a lot of people and turns others into zombies, and like it takes place around Christmas time, and I just like, even though it is technically a chick flick in my opinion. I like following the sisters around, and like they're like one of them is complete the opposite of the other one and stuff. But like in this world where these zombies and stuff, and then there's the scientists who have ulterior motives to them.
Sure.
The sisters are the best part about that movie, which I truly enjoy.
Nice.
The second movie that, it's my favorite Christmas movie is How Grinch Stole Christmas.
Which one? The animated or the Jim Carrey?
The Jim Carrey.
I like that one too, man.
Just because Jim Carrey is the highlight of that movie.
Oh, he's amazing.
Like, like Jim Carrey somehow one-ups himself in like every movie at the time, but this one is like, he's in these green prosthetics, and he's somehow like you wouldn't tell that's Jim Carrey, but he's a villain, but he's a misunderstood villain in that movie, which is fun. I love every actor in that movie, so there's that.
I've always, because I know that movie has a pretty mixed reception, but I've always really liked it. Like, listen, it has some problems. It's Ron Howard, and for whatever reason, he has like a gray blue color palette for that movie. It's like all the colors are repressed, which is, I was like, that's an odd choice. But Jim Carrey, he is amazing. He's given it 110%. Just so many scenes, like when he's just by himself. And I just loved it where you can hear his own echo. And is that one scene where he's oh god, how is it go? Oh yes, it's like because he keeps echoing back and forth, and eventually he says, "You're an idiot." And he said, "Oh no," he says, "I'm an idiot." And it says, "You are an idiot." Like his echo comes back and says that. I love that. Yeah, no, there's so many great scenes in that movie, and his performance is incredible. So
and that's the movie that is like constantly memed because like
hell yeah.
it's the Jim Carrey moments that's the meme the most. So,
Of course.
yeah. The next movie that I really like, this is my number one movie. It's Home Alone 2.
Crazy.
And
People love Home Alone too. It's nuts.
the
It's on my
only
list
reason,
too.
there's so many reasons. Macaulay Culkin being back from the first movie. I love the first movie, but this one is the one that I watched the most when I was a kid. Mostly because it takes place in New York, where I live. I feel like I constantly say that all the time at this point. It's this situation in where he hops on the wrong plane because he was supposed to go to Florida with his family, and because what was it that he needed to switch the batteries on the camera
On his talk boy. Yeah, he was looking for battery.
Boy.
Yeah, so he follows the wrong family to the plane and ends up in New York by accident.
Yeah, and that's where oh look, he has his dad's credit cards and stuff, and then he's just starts spending it on the whole the
Room service?
Plaza Hotel room service. Gets all these toys and stuff, and then he ends up kind of getting investigated by Tim Curry and the hotel staff, and then Joe Pesci and I forgot
Daniel
his
Stern.
name. Daniel Stern comes back and is like, "Uh-oh, we got a new situation now."
Yeah.
So it's it's such a good. It's really one of those movies where it's
Also,
nostalgic to me.
I was gonna say all the traps are way more he's just throwing bricks at them.
Yeah, it's a cartoon. Home Alone 2, Home Alone 1 was already cartoonish in nature. Home Alone 2 should have just had a Looney Tunes sound effects throughout the entire thing. Complete with skeletons that show when somebody gets electrocuted. Yeah.
Yeah. I also love the scenes that he has with the bird lady.
Oh yeah, those are nice.
Those scenes are out of all the comedic tones, this is where it shines the most, where he's talking to the bird lady and he was scared of her, but when he interacts with her, just in the last movie with the old guy,
his neighbor,
yeah, it's he's judging people, but once he gets to know them, he kind of grows more as a character. So
also, even his whole thing was that if I remember, that Harry and Marv were basically gonna rob the KB Toys.
Basically,
yeah, and he was like, well, and the dude was gonna give all that money to charity.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a little bit more selfless than I'm gonna protect my home because this is my house. I'm gonna stand my ground and protect myself from these people who are trying to break in. He seems like he's no, I'm gonna get this money back for these kids.
It's a really great movie. So it's something that we probably won't get back because now Home Alone is a cash grab movie at this point. So yeah,
we'll find out. I guess the fact that you guys have it on your list, all right, I've not seen this movie in years. I've not watched it. I remember the time just being very unimpressed, honestly. So maybe I gotta give another watch. It's all right, fair enough. Everyone has it on their list and they grew up with it, so it's okay, maybe I gotta do that too.
Just skip the scene with the person who shall not be named.
Oh yes. Where's the bathroom? It's right down there.
There.
Yeah, you can get it. No, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, Emily. We skipped you and Ducky and Henry. Stefan, welcome. We're just we did a Matrix discussion, and we're just doing our top 3 Christmas movies. And after we do that, we'll talk about our Christmas memories or traditions and that kind of thing. Just go one at a time. But it's an absolute pleasure to have you. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you.
Merry Christmas, all. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Happy to have you. But Emily, your favorite Christmas movies or holiday films?
Oh, that's hard to say because I'm not as fond of the holiday as I once was.
That's totally fine.
I have to think here.
That's okay. Well, we always go back to you. We just want to pick one. That's totally fine. So we'll
I'll say one Christmas movie that I really liked that I don't think anybody else missing on here. The Ref. It had what was it?
I'm not familiar with that one.
I know what you're talking about.
'94. It's not. It's how do I explain it? It's not the usual kind of typical Christmas movie. Some people would probably say it's a little uneven. It's a little too dark for some and whatnot, but it falls in the holiday season. It's not like the usual kind of Christmas movie.
Dennis Leary, was really funny in it.
I thought it was a really, really funny movie, and this was pre shitty. Are we allowed to
Kevin
say his name?
Spacey.
Kevin Spacey,
Oh.
and I think Judy Davis was on it. Judy Davis and Kevin Spacey are this couple who are basically damn near on the verge of divorce, arguing constantly. Their lives shitty, suck, or whatever. You know, they're the reason why each other is so miserable. It's starting to sound like the beginning of American Beauty, but anyway. Dennis Leary comes along. He's this criminal in the midst of stealing jewelry, and he's breaks into their home because he got busted. And he sets off the alarm, and gets busted by the family. And instead of getting the fuck out of Dodge, he decides to take these people as hostage. But he turns out that was the worst mistake you could have ever made, because these people are so goddamn dysfunctional. They're arguing, screaming. Their family is miserable. They come over. It's just like this guy is like, he grew up with a happy-go-lucky family. So seeing these dysfunctional, crazy-ass people during the holiday season, it's definitely worth watching, I think. It comes to a head towards the end of the movie, this one scene where all the arguments and shit come to a head. It's quite funny to me.
Interesting. I'll check it out. I've never seen this, but I never heard of it before. So I'm just looking up a little.
94.
94. Yep. 94. And apparently, I guess it was mismarketed. At least that's what Dennis Leary said.
The fucking trailer doesn't do it any favors if you go pull it up on YouTube and be like, I don't know how I feel about this, but you gotta watch it yourself. The trailer
was really good.
Cool. I'll check it out someday. I might make it for a fun review. Nice. Very nice. Well, you know what? Doug Henry, since you just arrived, feel free. I mean, your favorite Christmas films, or your top 3 or something like that.
So I know I'm going to be a bit of a dark horse with this one because people prefer the original, but actually came out when I was born. Miracle on 34th Street.
Oh, okay.
It's a classic for me, even though it's not
90s
the
version?
true classic. Yes, the 90s version. And yeah, just to see just Kris Kringle Santa Claus be like just a genuine good person, and it be more about the gifts.
Mm-hmm.
That's just such a nice moment. And I'm also from New York, so there are so many Christmas New York movies, and New York is so tied to the idea of Christmas, especially just this time of the year. And I think that movie encapsulates it, along with a lot of others.
And you have Sir Richard Attenborough. He's playing Santa Claus in that, right?
Yes.
Nice. Very good. What are some of your others?
And I'd also have to say Polar Express, because I know that CG is tough.
Yeah, it's horrifying. I would say it's horrifying, but to each their own. It's about your favorites.
I enjoyed Angelina Jolie as that hot monster in the Beowulf movie.
I like that.
She can do no wrong. She will always look hot as an ugly monster.
I know she wasn't, hot in the poem, but
Did you see Polar Express in the theaters again?
Yes, I did, and that's honestly where it stuck to me. And again, I know the graphics terrifying and everything, but the core message of just belief, enduring over time. I mean, that's always been my draw to Christmas. Just the innocence, the just having an imagination and not letting growing up take that from you. I mean, it was a core theme for a lot of people in my age range, with Toy Story and the Santa Claus and so many other movies coming along that time. But the Polar Express, I think, handled that message really well.
And that was like the first of Robert Zemeckis' CGI animated movies, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a big one. That was hugely popular. A lot of people love that movie. I think still do to this day. And I mean, it's been so long since I've seen it, and so I'm definitely forgetting a lot of details. I did like the aesthetic. I did like this magical Christmas train. They have to save it, and I like that you had Tom Hanks playing 3 different characters in the movie.
Right.
I thought that was pretty.
He was a great actor. I mean, he obviously is a great actor, but in those roles, I think he really encapsulated them.
Yeah, I remember liking that. He plays Santa Claus also in the film. So
He
yeah,
was Santa? Oh.
I think he was Santa. I'm pretty. I could be wrong. I know that he plays the conductor. He plays the magic hobo, and I think he's also Santa in the movie. I could be mistaken. Again, I haven't seen the movie in so long. But did you have another one, or were those your two?
No, those are my two. I mean,
Nice.
there's a lot of great Christmas movies, but those two are my favorite.
No, man, doesn't matter to you. If they're great to you, then you talk about them, please. We've had people talk about Home Alone 2, and I'm just like, I've been the guy be like, whatever. Everyone's like, it's in their top 3. I was like, okay, fuck, I gotta watch it again. So no, man, it's your absolute favorites, and thank you for mentioning something that's like, it really stands out. So that's cool. But yeah, going from Duck and Henry, Stefan, Kazfe, your favorite Christmas and/or holiday films.
Yeah, going off Ducking Henry, I also really loved The Polar Express as a kid, and from what I've seen of it recently, I think I would still enjoy it if I were to watch it again. Like, I saw it in theaters also, 3D and IMAX with my family, and it ended up being one of my favorite movie-going experiences. The CGI didn't freak me out that much. I don't know. I mean, it wasn't the most realistic, but I also didn't think it needed to be, maybe for the time. But if you can look past it, it is a really beautiful story. And let's see what else I have here. Because we already what?
No, I was gonna say we got a lot of support for Polar Express. I have to check it out again.
Yeah. Well, we've already talked about A Christmas Story. That's also one of my favorites. Another one I have on here that I've seen in theaters is Elf with Will Ferrell.
Elf is great.
And I remember it had more depth than I thought it was going to have. I think that was one of those movies that I saw mainly like because my dad wanted to see it or something. I wasn't sure if it would be good, but it ended. It was so wholesome, and it showed a different side to Will Ferrell, I think.
It was like a perfect blend because you had those scenes where he's screaming, like "Son of," and everything, but it works. But it has those quieter moments, and like when he, both how he interacts like with his adopted elf father, and trying to get back in contact with his real dad, James Caan. I really like those scenes, even when he's literally in a giant elf costume and having these conversations. There's just it's that earnestness. And I think that's why it works. It works on those comedic levels and also on the dramatic level. So it's a great pick. Elf is, I forgot. I would have put that. I think that's maybe my top 5. That's one I definitely watch at least once a year.
Yeah, and it's also like, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I didn't have much other than it's just really memeable. Like you sit on a throne of lies and things like that.
That's true.
I didn't really like Elf growing up all that much because just people constantly, they were actually making jokes about it. Like when the movie first came out, it was for, memes and everything. But I didn't like it much growing up. But as I got older, I learned to appreciate the sentiment behind it and the characters and whatnot. Like Will Ferrell, seriously, it's probably one of the first roles I can think of that he did where he wasn't just screaming at you the whole goddamn time or doing some stupid, really zany shit the whole movie. It was like it felt heartfelt, and even though I'm not that fond of Christmas movies, it's one of those where I would gladly sit down and watch it if it was on.
Yeah, I think it's aged very well. The comedy's great. That's Jon Favreau. I think Jon Favreau directed.
Did he write
Elf,
that
I
one?
want to say. I don't know who wrote it, but I know Jon Favreau, who obviously went on Iron Man and things, and did all the things like Swingers and stuff, and is one of the golden boys over there at Disney right now. So I just love it. I think for also that was an introduction, at least for a lot of. I can speak for myself. I think that was a lot of people's introduction to Peter Dinklage as an actor. Oh, he's an angry elf.
Yeah.
At least that's the one that I think. When I think of him, I'm like, yeah, it's the movie I first saw him in.
I can't think of anything else that I ever saw him in before Elf, honestly.
He did like a lot of indie stuff. He did a lot of smaller movies. No, I mean, well, I mean, you know what I mean.
Wow, Chris.
You know what I mean.
Anyway,
I didn't mean
he
that.
was in the really shitty Underdog movie.
Oh yeah, he was.
Oh right, he was in the second Narnia movie.
That's
What?
right. Yeah, he played one of the dwarves.
Yes.
Is it bad that I only first saw him in Destiny? So,
Nah.
like after that,
never
then
watched Game of Thrones. Never watched Game of Thrones.
I'm not a fan of Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Yeah,
Says Destiny. Yeah, and his dialogue got replaced.
and he got replaced by Norman North. So
Right.
His
Sorry.
dialogue got replaced.
Yeah,
Yes,
'cause
they
Yeah.
literally
he
replaced him.
mocked. It was. Listen. I played the first Destiny, and I'm like, yeah, this isn't good.
Well,
yeah.
it just seemed like it wasn't directed well. was
No,
the
that's what
problem.
it was. He
a-
wasn't directed well.
I think
His
they got a new
direction. His
director.
direction was be a robot, sound like
Yeah.
a robot, and it's like that's what he did, and yeah, it just didn't have any personality to it. Yeah. But other than Elf, did you have another film, Casfe?
Yeah, I wanted to go back to It's a Wonderful Life. That's one
Please.
I've seen since I was a kid. And although, I mean, some people might see it as kind of hokey or kind of a basic choice, it's just, to me, one of the quintessential Christmas films. It's almost like the adult version of like a fable or a fairy tale, you know? You've got the guardian angel, you've got like, I don't know. As soon as I saw it, even when I was really young, I knew where the story was going, but that's kind of why I wanted to watch it. It's just so perfectly formulaic, but the characters feel real. It's earnest, and it's aged surprisingly well for an old film.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful movie, and I mean, Jimmy Stewart kills it in the role.
Goes for you too.
Scared the
He,
shit out of me.
he yelled. Sorry, he yells that in the. What was it when Mr. Potter? I don't know if anybody else who's. If you have not seen A Wonderful Life, it's free. It's there because of the whole the whole copyright thing. It escaped that bullshit. So
Yeah. Oh yeah, when he's back home and he's yelling and everyone's like, he's fucking out of his mind.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You just scared me. Oh my god! I was like one of those people on the street going, "Oh my god, man's crazy. He needs to be taken down. I need to arrest that man."
It's one of those scenes in the
Oh,
movie
my
where it's
lordy.
just like he kind of snaps, or he's like, "And that goes for you too. I don't want your goddamn money. I want to keep my
That's right.
pride and my family and my
that's
business."
what it is. Oh, okay, gotcha.
Have you
I
never
was,
seen it?
I was thinking the ending of the film. Nice. And is that the only other film you want to bring up, Casfe? Do you have anything else you want to say about it?
There were some Christmas specials I wanted to touch on, like
Please.
Rankin and Bass. Like I grew up watching Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Rudolph's
Same.
Shiny New Year, and then one I don't think is talked about as much. It's called Nestor the Long-Eared Donkey, and
I
it's
know that.
more about the nativity story. And it's about this really strange-looking donkey. He's ridiculed when he's young, and then he and his mom go on this journey. And I forget how much detail he's given about this beforehand, but it's also tragic. Like his mom passes away before they get there, but then he gets there, and it turns out that this donkey was like present for the birth of Jesus, and he ends up, I don't know if he like helps them in some way, or maybe he like helps keep the baby warm with his ears or something, but it's one of those things where it's very like a nativity version of Rudolph almost. It's really cute.
I always liked Nestor. Yeah, I remember. I didn't watch it as much as something like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or his Shiny New Year, and like Santa Claus Coming to Town. But I remember watching that. I think I watched it like several times as a kid, and so yeah, it was very, very, very nice movie. Very nice movie. Any other specials?
There was one, I can't remember a lot of details, but it was a really weird, different sort of origin story for Santa where it like shows how he became immortal, and there are a bunch of other characters. It's more of a mystical, very like pagan-ish approach, like in a good way to his origin. There's a few different versions. I think there's one that's straight up animated and another that's stop motion. And then there was another one, Noel, the Happy Christmas Ornament, where this ornament has the spirit of Christmas in him because the glass blower cried a tear of joy while making him because he heard about the birth of his daughter. It's a cute little story.
I think, and is that 2D?
Yeah.
I have seen that one. I remember growing up watching that too. I have not seen it in so long. Like I remember like a happy little Christmas ornament, but I didn't know about that. Cried a tear of joy when his daughter's born. Wow. I gotta watch some of these or do audio video commentaries for them because you're jogging my memory. Very nice selection. Newsy Ducky, your favorite Christmas movies or holiday films?
I would say, well, the third one is It's a Wonderful Life. Well, because it's started with a non-sus white man.
Of course.
And I like Jimmy Stewart. Stewart.
Stewart.
He's Stewart.
No, he's
I
great.
can't think of his name. Yeah,
Jimmy.
yeah.
Jimmy.
He's a very non-problematic actor for me, so I like
Sure.
him. Yeah, and I actually just like the. Well, to be honest, when I watched it at first, I was like 12, and my English at the time wasn't really that good,
Mhm.
so I didn't really understand much of the movie or the plot of it because of that thick transatlantic accent that they have at the time. So yeah, but I actually just like it, to be honest. It's a nice kind of reflection of what we are dealing with right now, as a society, I would say.
Sure, and also shows you your worth and with the impact you do have on people's lives, despite what you may think about yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that has just a very good message.
Yeah, nice, well put, Chris.
Thank you.
As a nice white man.
I know.
Nice nonsense white man.
What do you have any others?
Yeah, I have two more. Well, the second one is Home Alone. Because the plot is actually my childhood fantasy. I've been wanting to be left alone by my parents and forgotten just for one day. And because I'm a middle child, so I don't really rely too much on my parents. So yeah, I mean, I like it, and also because that house is actually just 10 minutes away from my house right now.
What? Oh,
Yeah,
it was well, it's Chicago. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's in the Chicago suburb. It was, I think, was shot in Winnetka, somewhere around that. Yes, it's like 10 minutes away from my place. And
That's awesome.
it's nice to like drive around that and see what it looks like now. It's privately owned, so I can't
Right.
really take pictures. So yeah, it still looks the same. Yeah.
Cool. I bet they probably have a fence around it now and everything, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
they have to.
have like lots of security cameras just for
People
for
trying to
protection.
get
Yeah.
inside. Yeah, I feel sorry for people like these iconic locations, like in TV shows, like a house or a building, like in a TV show, and you constantly, and if they are privately owned, you have to constantly deal with people going there and showing up. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a major inconvenience. It's funny you bring up the house most recently, because I think haven't they turned that into like a oh god, what is it?
Like a bed and breakfast.
Bed and breakfast. Thank you. I was going to say Airbnb, but not Airbnb. Yes, yeah, bed and breakfast. And isn't it? Well, I don't think it's being hosted anymore. And wasn't it being hosted by the actor who plays Buzz, who recently came back in the new movie?
I don't know about that.
I think it is. The thing is, so this came out like a couple of days ago. Apparently, he's been arrested for strangling his girlfriend. So it's like, well, that's done. That's over.
Well,
so yeah.
But I mean, he looks sus anyway. So
he does. He looks super. He's always looked sus. It's like I would buy Buzz. I was like, you know what? Yeah, I can see. So
that doesn't surprise me that his real life actor turned out to be shitty.
Yeah,
That's
he always seemed. Well, I mean, we don't know his personal life, but the thing with him, it's just he's like, I'm really passionate about the franchise. I need money.
A sociopath or serial killer in the making in Home Alone. Nobody else can tell me otherwise.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. His role reflected his real life. Apparently,
he was planning to kill Kevin with that tarantula.
It was Buzz. And what's your favorite?
Well, you guys might be surprised. It's the most favorite Christmas movie I have. It's nothing to do with Christmas. It's called Dante's Peak.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a super volcano movie.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
What?
It brings people together. It doesn't need to be a holiday.
Yeah, actually, I first watched that when I was 5 with my parents. We do that. It's like an annual family Christmas tradition. We watch that every Christmas.
Interesting.
Up until I was 12. And I mean, I like it. It was a nice introduction to me because after that, I started watching those gory films, and I'm actually just used to it. So yeah. I mean, it kind of traumatized me for a bit.
There are some traumatizing scenes in that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I liked it. It's a very, it's a goofy kind of disaster movie, but
it is.
that's where I learned the nursery rhyme, row, row boat.
Oh
So
my
yeah,
god!
No, that's horrible.
Really? Oh my
yeah,
Jesus.
that scene was I
Oh.
mean, it was horrible, but that's where I first learned that
You were
nursery
5
rhyme.
when you first saw it?
Yeah, I was 5.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's a dark way to learn that rhyme.
yeah, I mean that's
Holy
also
shit.
the same year that I first watched Poltergeist and
Okay.
The Exorcist. So
Nice.
yeah.
Exposing you at a
Parents were
young
just
age to
preparing
this.
you.
Yeah, there was like, yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
You'll be okay.
exposing me to the real world. So
That's
yeah.
true. Super volcanoes.
I mean,
Yeah.
that movie is just notable for coming against Volcano with
Right.
Tommy Lee Jones, and
Mhm.
it was just one of those weird movies where they're very similar plots, but they came out of the same. It's like Olympus Has Fallen and White House Down.
That's right.
Yeah, I actually
It was the year of the dueling volcano movies. Yeah, that's right. It was 97, right? I think that those both came out. And Dante's Peak came out first, so that did well, and Volcano did not.
yeah, I think that's actually the movie that I kind of wanted Chris to review, but I don't know if you wanted to.
No, I'll review it someday. Of course. I reviewed Volcano.
Forgot
I've
about
done
Volcano.
so I
Yeah,
got to
I'm
do
not
the other
sure.
97 Volcano movie, Dante's Peak.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you have seen it yet, but it's the
I
one
have.
with okay. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a nice 90s goofy disaster movie. So
Very much so. No, the 90s they were trying to capitalize, I imagine, off of a lot of Roland Emmerich's movies. And they're like, okay, we need our own big disaster, Roland Emmerich, because they brought that back. He brought that back. So there's no doubt. Yeah, I'll definitely review Dante's Peak. That'll be fun.
yeah, I mean
Big
that's
Roland.
where I also first saw Pierce Brosnan. I kept calling him as Mr. Bond.
Yeah, right.
First saw him as James Bond before.
Mhm. Sure.
So yeah, it was nice.
Nice. That was, you know what? That's a very unique choice. Yeah, I guess it doesn't have to be a Christmas film or holiday film, just a movie that you typically see around this time. That's interesting. I like that.
Yeah, I mean it's much better than Die Hard, you know.
Oh boy.
Wow.
Oh,
Can
here
I-
we go. Here
Wow.
we go.
Can I
Here we
add
go.
another movie?
It kind of reminds me of how some channels play or they were at one point playing Night at the Museum or all three of the movies maybe around Christmas. Or I've seen that happen. Like one year they were playing it 24 hours or something.
Yeah, HBO is notorious for that. That's where I keep watching all these non-Christmas movies. Yeah, just HBO.
I guess it's like family films because I guess the Night at the Museum movies are very much like family films. I think some of them take place during the winter time, I suppose, but they're not Christmas themed at all. So that's good.
Right.
Yeah, interesting one to point out. But Vanny, ending with you, good sir, your favorite Christmas and or holiday films.
So we've already actually brought up all three now. So my number one is absolutely A Christmas Story. That is part of my traditions. I watch it every year.
Yeah.
It is just that is my childhood and my adulthood holidays wrapped up in a bow. My number three is Home Alone 2 because again, I still remember watching it in theaters as a kid, just laughing to the point where I couldn't breathe. Because I think seeing it as a child in the theater as a cartoon, it just worked on every level for me, and just could not just like legit gasping for air because I was laughing so hard as a kid. And actually, my number two was actually just brought up. It's Die Hard. I love Die Hard.
There it is. I knew someone.
Yeah.
I knew someone would
I was
mention it.
surprised nobody actually brought that up. I was figuring Elf was going to show up on this list and some of the classics, but I really did figure someone was going to say Die Hard. But no, I absolutely adore that film to death. It's a shame of what they've done with John McClane as a character. Like I never saw the last Die Hard film, but just the first
Don't
film.
need to.
Yeah,
Save yourself, Vanny. Don't watch it.
yeah. I mean, they turned him into a superhero by Die Hard with a Vengeance. So it's dumb. They took away the everyman aspect, but yeah, like the pacing, Hans Gruber, the casting, the everything about it. Like it's such a fun movie, and Bruce Willis just knocked it out of the park for that one too. So yeah, I usually will watch Die Hard every year. I absolutely watch A Christmas Story. And yeah, it's been a few years since I've seen Home Alone 2, but so I know if I see it now, it will not hit as well anymore. I think there's probably some jokes I won't laugh as hard at.
Sure.
But for like favorite films of all time, because it has such a nostalgic value for it, it's always going to hold a special place. But Home Alone 1, of course, too. But and I think a weird honorable mention, just because it's so unbelievably misguided, is Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas. I just watched it yesterday. And I'm already an atheist, but that I finished watching that hour and 10-minute film, walked away somehow more atheist.
Oh yeah, they'll make you an atheist, or agnostic.
Yeah,
Totally.
It is.
What a movie!
So unbelievably misguided, so terrible, such a mess.
I don't even know who Kirk Cameron actually is. Like, I know is because you made that movie, but I don't know what was he like.
What did he do?
He was an '80s sitcom star. He was in Growing Pains, and he did a cameo in Full House.
Growing Pains.
He had found religion around that time, and he got very into it to the point that he drove his castmates nuts. Like, he insisted on all these extra rules. He made casting choice decisions because by that point he had become kind of a teen heartthrob in the 80s and 90s. So like he actually had his on-screen girlfriend fired from the show and then replaced with his actual girlfriend or wife.
Jesus Christ!
He is a monster. He is an absolute.
It was like a Dean Cain situation where he was famous from one show in like the 90s or 80s, and then just like been writing that for years.
Yeah, he's written that, and then he got into the Christian film kind of industry, and he became kind of a bigger name for that too. Like, he did the Left Behind series too. But he's an absolute prick and a monster, and that film is just bad and offensively stupid. Like, but I can't not watch it too, because you're just watching somebody try to justify commercialism for Christmas, which is such a weird direction. Like, growing up in a Catholic household and growing up in a very religious household on top of that too, to see somebody who is like viewed like tradition was actually viewed very, very favorably in my family, to now just see him do something and say like, spend all the money, because if you do that, you're celebrating Jesus. You're like, fuck you. That's so bad. And like, when you see the pile of gifts in front of your tree, imagine that's Jerusalem and the toy soldiers are defending Jesus. And because the first tree from the book of Genesis was a tree, therefore that's made of wood, and then Jesus was crucified on wood. Therefore, every Christmas tree now is a reflection of Jesus, because Jesus is not on that one, because he's on the one that he died on. Therefore, Christmas. Therefore, go to Best Buy and buy everything.
The logic he makes are incredible.
So unbelievably bad. But it's also like I can't not look at it, because it is just watching a train wreck and absolutely I think as maybe because we just talked about the Matrix Resurrection too, but just something of such pure nonsense. And so just trying to justify your existence. Like, I would have much rather and Corey brought this up in Double Toasted about, like, I was kind of expecting to go after like the war on Christmas stuff that doesn't actually exist.
Right. Or manufactured thing.
Yeah. Or the, atheists trying to like speak. I like Christmas. I like the general spirit of togetherness and family, and, you getting, your friends gifts and family gifts and all that. I like that general spirit of gratitude and appreciation. Just take out the religious stuff or two. I kind of figured that's the angle he was going to go for, with, at least from the trailers. But then to see it's like, no, he's going after other Christians. Like,
that's crazy.
That's so weird.
It is weird. I mean, I will. You know what? It's like, it's not what we thought. It's not what we thought they would prototypically do. It's like, okay, wow, you change it up a little bit. Fair enough. Yeah, I'll give them that.
Right, but, and just so weird, misguided, and just bad faith arguments too. And they do the whole the Ben Shapiro. They want to get rid of it. Like, who the fuck is they? It's not me.
Yeah, they never say who they is.
I've been going to the atheist meetings for years, and we never bring it up. So what the fuck are you talking about?
See, they do exist. They do. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. That's great, man. Yeah. You know what? Actually, I'm glad you brought up one. Die Hard. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, Die Hard's an action classic. It's great. It's what introduced people. Might not know this, but that was Alan Rickman's first film role.
Yes, it was.
Credits, which was like, what a way to debut. His introduction to him, like internationally. That was great, and of course in the States. So yeah, I love that movie. And you know what? You brought up a good point with Home Alone 2. You saw that as a kid. And you saw that in the theater. You remember laughing. And you know what? I think maybe that's the big reason why I never really liked Home Alone 2. I think I saw it when I was too old. Yeah. So I'd seen Home Alone, and I didn't see Home Alone 2 until I feel like maybe I was a teenager. And I think maybe that was the point where I was like, I don't get this, whatever. Yeah. But the first one was like, it's a classic. But now it's like maybe. But I'm going to try to see it with the better eyes or newer eyes, or kind of reanalyze it. I think that's what I'll do next time when I watch it. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, I think if I watch it again now, he's gonna be like, "This kid's a piece of shit." Like, what the hell? Like, and
he's kind of selfish. No, he's selfish in the first one too.
Yeah, and he's still selfish the sequel. He learned nothing, and it is a rehash. It's kind of like the Evil Dead 1 and 2 sort of thing, where it is just it's the same film just with a bigger budget. Like it's almost like beat for beat and and the same story elements with it. You just replace a couple of you change the environment and the gender of a couple of characters. It's the same fucking movie.
Interesting. All right. Yeah. Which I know I think that one of the reasons why it's criticized, but clearly it is beloved. People still love that movie a lot, and it's better than what we have gotten since then.
Right. It's so over the top for it too. Yeah.
Yes.
Like I said, I think just again, I can appreciate for being a live action cartoon.
Totally understand. Well, now we're kind of wrapping up, but I did want to spend a moment and just kind of going over picking our favorite family tradition around this time of year that we did, or just tradition maybe that you do for yourself or your friends or something, and Christmas memory. And I'll go ahead and start. One of my favorite family traditions or Christmas traditions was I've talked about them on stream. You've heard me talk about them. Polish Rum Balls. Which is this alcoholic cookie. Basically, it's made of ingredients are actually very, very simple. Where it's graham crackers that have been grounded up into a powder, cocoa, confectionery, sugar, and maybe a little coffee. And you add a vanilla extract and almond extract and corn syrup. And then you also add whiskey and rum to them, and you put them in a big old bowl. You mix that all up, and then what you do is you pat your hands down in confectionery sugar. You roll them up so they don't the balls so they don't get sticky, and you cover them in the kind of like a cocoa confectionery sugar powder. And you do is you refrigerate them, and you can and they stay good for a long time, for months or weeks or even months. You can put them in your freezer too to store them, and that was a thing that's been passed down throughout my family, my mother's side of the family, for decades. My my great grandmother passed it down to my grandmother, passed it down to my mother, and passed it down to me. And recently made them. I was even munching on them during the stream last night, and I want to share the recipe with you guys if you ever want to create your own Polish rum balls. But that's been a annual tradition. Even if I'm not with my family right now, I always like to make them myself or with people who I get to experience holidays with. And then my favorite holiday memory, one that has traumatized me, that's how I like to think of it, is as I said before, the concept of Santa Claus to a kid is fucking huge. It's hard for us to even compartmentalize something like that, especially when we're confronted with it. And that's why we cry, we get emotional, we just freak out. And I had that when I was a child, where my father had dressed up as Santa Claus and came to the house. And then they made, because I think when I was a dumb kid, and my dad's like, "Oh, Santa's here. I'm gonna go ahead and help him. I'll be right back." And he left, and I was like, "Ooh, so excited!" And then eventually, the knock on the door, and he was in a full Santa outfit, and I was too dumb to realize that it wasn't my dad. It's my dad, and it was the whole family was there, my grandparents and my aunt and all that, my mother, of course. And I freaked out. I got so scared that I would literally hid in the pantry, and where I held the pantry door so they couldn't get inside. I was like, no. And it freaked me out. And eventually they got me out of there and, crying and everything. And then my dad tried to oh, I guess I'll just go up the chimney. And he's like some half-ass trying to get up the chimney. But yeah, very traumatic event in my childhood, but one that has stayed with me forever, because nothing, helps educate kids more than childhood trauma as you go into adulthood. So that is one of my favorite holiday Christmas memories. And we'll just go down the line. And
that's amazing.
We ended with Vanny. Let's go ahead and start with Vanny for this one. If you had a favorite tradition or memory.
For me, tradition. So I don't. My childhood was a bit weird and rough, so I don't really have one from as a child. But growing up, it has been watching A Christmas Story, either doing the marathons on TBS, to me, just seeing that was just such a great time. But memory wise, it's 8 years old, and I knew my parents got me a Super Nintendo. I absolutely knew it. I had seen them at Target. I actually legit measured the size of the box that I saw at the store, then measured the box that I saw under the trees. It's identical. Oh my God. I got I knew it. I fucking knew I got one. And I was so ecstatic for it. And comes Christmas Eve. And for whatever reason, it's a weird tradition that we had. I brought up, I was streaming earlier today, and we opened presents on Christmas Eve at 7 p.m. Now, midnight on Christmas Eve or Christmas morning,
Mhm.
not when you first wake up, 7:00, super weird. And so I'm counting down the seconds until 7:00, and then I'm screaming at my parents, "It's 7:00! Let me let me open it up." Go straight for that one. And I got my Super Nintendo with my copy of Super Mario World inside. But my
Nice.
parents also got me Gradius 3. And I was guaranteed my dad got that for himself because he likes space shooters and he wanted to play it too.
Ah, there you go.
And Final Fantasy 2/4.
Oh, nice. Oh,
which
nice.
which
Fuck yeah.
started my whole everything about me now. Like, that was such a defining Christmas for me because it just ended up getting that game, not knowing what it was, and then absolutely falling in love with it, and then becoming Final Fantasy, then becoming a major influence in my life. And it started from that Christmas as my one surprise gift.
An exciting moment. That's awesome.
It was 100%.
Very cool. Yeah, very nice memory. I like that. Yuzi Ducky, what about yourself? Favorite Christmas holiday tradition or memory?
Sorry, I was opening presents.
That's okay. No, it's fine. if you're doing present stuff right now, we can always come back to it later. Okay.
Oh, that's okay. I would say, well, because my mom has a huge family. She has 11 siblings.
Wow.
And so every Christmas, we actually just we have these little or big family reunion.
Mm-hmm.
And usually in one of my aunt's house. Right now, 2 years ago, we had it on my cousin's house.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's just my favorite my favorite annual tradition with my family, because I get to see them and kind of have a little chat with them. And it's just, I mean, because of the pandemic, we haven't been able to reunite. So I haven't seen them for 2 years now. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah.
Hopefully next year we'll be able to do that then.
Yeah.
Things
Yeah.
calm down.
Hopefully. But but I mean, I was kind of relieved because I have 50 cousins.
Oof.
So yeah, I
That's a
have
lot.
to give. Yeah, I have to spend some money to give all of them. So yeah.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah, so
wow.
I'm kinda
Yeah,
relieved.
that's a situation where it's like, well, you're gonna get maybe a little gift bag or something, like of foods or whatever. So it's not spending too much. Yeah, that's a lot. A lot of people to shop for. 50 cousins. Wow. Nice.
Well,
Very nice.
actually,
Very
yeah.
nice. Cassie,
Oh,
about yourself, your favorite holiday or Christmas memory or tradition?
Well, as far as traditions go, the most consistent one has just been the usual, like, opening up Christmas stockings in the morning. Like,
Mhm.
even without the whole pretense of Santa, we kind of just roll with it and do Christmas stockings anyway, because, like, at my mom's house, at least, we open a lot of our presents on Christmas Eve.
Same.
And this year it was really cool because they actually sent me my stocking in the mail, and it
Aw.
arrived in time for us to open it this morning, like, over video chat. And
That's cute.
also, we even had my uncle on voice call. He couldn't be there in person because he was sick. A bunch of them are sick right now, but everyone's doing fine.
Good to hear.
So that was a nice thing for us to do. As far as specific memories, I remember when I was in about 6th grade, I think. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I didn't have a lot of the most current video games or anything, but I was really fixated on the Game Boy Advance, and specifically the game Pokemon Sapphire, because at Walmart they had like a promo of it or something. You know how you can play video games like in the store, or you could at some point.
Yeah.
Like, I
I
think they
remember.
even touch on I think they even show that in the movie 8-Bit Christmas, which I saw parts of, and that was a good movie.
Nice.
But I was playing Pokemon Sapphire for hours on end anytime we went to Walmart for stuff. And I just kept hoping I could get it for Christmas. And when it came down to the final present for me to open, and it was like my quote unquote big present that was in a very, very big box, I was like, well, maybe it's somewhere in there, even though I figured the odds were against me. And what I got was like this really nice fancy winter coat with like a fur collar and everything. And I was like, oh, wow, this is beautiful. This is great. There was that tiny pang of disappointment. And my mom's all like, oh, put it on, put it on. And then she's like, well, pockets. And I reach
There you go.
in and I pull out, which
Aw.
turns out to be Advance SP. And that threw me because, like, a regular Game Boy Advance wouldn't have been able to fit in the pocket without showing some. SP was more compact, and I didn't think they'd even consider getting me that one because it's the new one.
Wow, look at that.
And in the other pocket was Pokemon Sapphire.
Oh, wow.
Favorite
Oh,
gen.
that's nice. That is great.
It's an amazing story.
That's adorable. That's great. Parents always do that. They always bamboozle us. With their how they give things. My parents, I think my aunt, my grandmother did stuff like that all the time. With things like, oh yeah, you know, it's a new hoodie. It's like, oh yeah, I think it was Game Boy. Like you, that my last handheld was like a Game Boy Advance, and I think they had gotten me one of the I think it was probably one of the Wario games or something, which I liked Wario because I'm a weird kid. Very nice, very nice, Gaspé. Thunder Lee,
Hey.
your favorite Christmas tradition / or memory?
You keep on cutting off Newsy Ducky each time.
You forgot to ask me about my favorite Christmas memory.
Oh, I'm sorry, Newsy Ducky. I'm sorry. I thought you were done. I'm sorry. Please go about your favorite Christmas memory.
Oh, it was the day that I stopped believing in Santa.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I was 6, and it was Christmas Eve, and I saw my mom wrapping this huge teddy bear. It was like 2 feet tall,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought it was for some other kid, like one of my cousins maybe. And then the next day, which was Christmas Day, I opened my gift, and it was the same teddy bear.
Oh, damn.
And and then I learned that Santa is not real, and it was all just my mom buying all of us gifts. So yeah,
Well, that was good. You learned that your mom was the one that was doing all that hard work. So there you go. There's the positive,
Yeah.
spin on it. Yeah, there you go.
yeah, that's all. That's all.
No, very
Thanks.
nice, very nice. I think I had the similar situation where I was sneaking downstairs and my parents putting the Santa present under the tree. So it's similar for me as well. That's how I found out. I feel like it's like a lot of kids how they find out, or unless they get too old, they're like, all right, he doesn't exist. God damn it.
I
Yeah,
found
but
out when I was 6 too. Like my parents put me on Santa's lap, and Dad decided to lower the beard down during the photo. I looked up and then just saw Dad.
That's great. Oh,
Yep.
there you go. That's a traumatic way to find out.
Yep.
I knew one kid that was like, parents never told him. He was like 13 years old. He still thought Santa was real. I was like, Jesus. I was like, they got to talk to that kid. Yeah, he was a little off. But Thunder Lee, how about yourself? Your favorite Christmas or holiday memory and tradition?
My Christmas tradition, other than family coming over, it's always me watching wrestling. Like, they usually record their shows like a couple of days before, and they put it on like live Christmas Day. Depends on like which company. So it's always like every year I would always watch WWE or a different company that would have their stuff pre-recorded for Christmas Day, and that was always as a wrestling fan, that's always an excitement for me to watch wrestling on a day that I like the most, besides Halloween. But yeah, there's that. But my favorite memory is back in 2009, because this is when Modern Warfare 2 was around. I got my PS3 for Christmas, and I remember the games that I got for that. So I had Metal Gear Solid 4, Rainbow Six Vegas 2.
Yeah.
A Gran Turismo game.
Mm-hmm.
And those were the 3 games that I was like, oh, I want to play these. Like, I didn't ask for them. I didn't know what the heck a freaking Metal Gear Solid was at the time. So playing them and seeing how, like, as a 10-year-old playing these games, I'm like, these are difficult. But I continued playing them, and I enjoyed the heck out of them. And, like, I had a PS2 at the time. I should have kept this. But on Christmas Day, not everything was closed like it is now.
Mm-hmm.
But I went to GameStop, traded in my PS2 and all those games, which was a mistake. I should have kept my PS2. but I was young, and I ended up getting the newest Call of Duty game, and SmackDown versus Raw 2010, because as a wrestling fan, I had to get the upgraded version of what I played on the PS2.
Sure.
So yeah, that's my stuff right there.
A lot of video game memories. I like this a lot.
Mhm.
Duck and Henry, Stefan, how about yourself, sir? Your favorite Christmas or holiday traditions or memory?
So I kind of had a reverse experience when it comes to Santa Claus. When I was very young, like a toddler, like parents didn't really have time to go through the whole Santa shtick, so they would take me to the store and say, "What do you want?" Santa gave me money to get this for you.
Nice.
So yeah, Santa was very distant to me. But when my sister was born, I guess that's when they decided to really hunker down on the whole Santa thing. So
Oh
I
wow!
was
So you were
kind
the
of
test case. They were like, whatever, we'll do it on the next one.
yes.
That's funny. I like that.
So they were kind of like, yeah, you better believe in Santa, or else you're not getting gifts because I don't know who else would get you gifts. Um, for her sake, anyway. But for me, I guess like Christmas was more about like the movies, the family time, because I was always at school. My parents were always working. That was actually a time that I got to spend with them. And that was what Christmas was about to me, family and watching Harry Potter, because Harry Potter, they shove it in your face the entire Christmas season.
Yeah, you're
And
right.
I was a
Although
huge
they
Harry
released a
Potter
lot
fan.
during that time.
Yeah. That was when the big movies would come out, and then they'd show all of them leading up to it, and it would be a whole event. So for so long, Christmas to me meant Harry Potter and family time.
Mm. No, very good. Yeah, I remember at the day. I remember because I think didn't they release Sorcerer's Stone was I think in December, like December 1st or something when
Yeah,
it came out. So yeah, and I think a
I
lot of
think the
Harry Potter
third
films
one
came out around that same
around
time.
December.
Yeah.
It wasn't a lot of summer blockbusters. It was all very December oriented.
And for kids, then it's just who especially grew up when those movies were coming out. That was a tradition. Like, yeah, we're gonna go see the new Harry Potter movie. Yeah, totally. I
Yeah,
can totally see that. That's a good one.
yeah.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Osnick, what about you, sir? What Chinese food place did you go to?
I knew you were gonna bring this up. Damn you, Chris.
It's true. Which one though?
Okay. I'm just gonna say I was told, because I thought Santa was real, because he's on every Christmas special. I was told, no, Santa isn't real, but don't tell your cousins because they think he's real. That's what I was told.
I like
so that. Yes, there was this one place called Sea High. Sadly, it closed, but it closed just right before the pandemic. But a bunch of different Chinese. But yeah. As Chris mocking. Okay, I didn't hide it.
I'm not mocking. I know. Listen, man. I grew up around Jewish households, and so I was like, that's what they do. That was funny.
Like Thunder Lee said, they do two things because nothing else is open. They would go to the movies and they would go eat Chinese food. And that is usually what I would do for Christmas or whatever. Usually my mom would be working because she was a PSW and she hired nurses basically. So so it'd basically usually be my dad or someone, and we would go. And I was looking up some of the movies I saw in theaters on Christmas, not Christmas movies. I saw the Fat Albert movie. I remember that one. I remember Cheaper by the Dozen too.
Yeah.
Not Alvin and the Chipmunks, The Squeakquel.
Oofa.
I mean, Marley and Me, which that's a sad one.
Rip people.
We Bought a Zoo.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember that one. Matt Damon.
Sherlock Holmes 2, Games of Shadow. Or was it King of Shadow?
Oh.
And Adam Sandler's Bedtime Stories.
Oh shit, I don't remember that one at all.
I remember that one. It's like a Disney movie too.
Oh, it was a Disney movie.
Interesting.
It was.
Yeah. And the last one I saw was Knives Out, which my dad was like, "Yeah, you picked a good movie, Austin."
That was a good one.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Winner that time.
Yeah, a lot of bad movies I saw, but I mean, I enjoyed them as a kid, and cool. I have a lot of fond memories. And I'm jealous that other people get presents, and we don't get 8 presents. I never got 8 presents. I mean, I got some one cool thing,
Sure.
Usually, because my birthday's kind of close to Hanukkah, I wouldn't get that much great stuff. But I never got I never got a PS3 for Christmas. I mean, I'm like, oh man, I'm jealous of all the people who got cool stuff for Christmas. So yeah, that's my holiday traditions.
That's cool. No, it's funny. I guess I should have mentioned this. My traditions. My family and I, we always, when I was a kid, we would go to the movies on Christmas Day because some of you guys had mentioned that you open your presents on Eve. Like I guess I don't know. It's the Polish tradition where Christmas Eve gets more. There's more focus on that than Christmas Day, and so we always celebrated that one. Christmas Day is like, all right, whatever. The next day we'll go see a movie. Yeah, exactly. Nothing's open.
And
Chinese food.
The next day is Boxing Day, where people would go to the malls and stuff and buy because it's things will be on sale.
Yeah. True. Yeah, I guess you get those 3 days. So, but yeah, much like you, Austin. I mean, my family did the same thing, where go to the movies on Christmas Day or something like that, or Eve, depending on what was happening that particular year. But no, great picks. And Emily, you go ahead and we'll wrap this up. But what are some of your favorite? Oh yeah, go ahead.
Didn't mean to cut you off. I don't really have any Christmas traditions. Growing up in my house, it was very, how do I put this? Dysfunctional. So it wasn't really anything good about Christmas in my household growing up. I do have one favorite Christmas memory, and I was 8 years old. I ruined the whole concept of Santa Claus for my younger sister because she was being an asshole about it that year.
Okay. It's a great memory.
I remember it because it was a good memory. Anyway, I was 8. She was 6 at the time. She was being a snooty little brat about something, or some wisecrack about something. Anyway, I was like, well, if you're not, I'm like, Santa ain't gonna bring you shit because he ain't real. I didn't say these words exactly. But I was like, she went all falling to my mom. Whatever. I got my ass beat for it, but it was well worth it. 20 years later.
Wow.
Still worth it.
There it is. That's an interesting memory. Good one to wrap up on. I like that. Do you have a tradition, or was it just spoiling the Santa Claus legend for other children? Is that what it was?
Tradition? I mean, I've watched Jingle All the Way every year. Since it came out.
I like Jingle All the Way.
It's always fun watching Arnold Schwarzenegger assault people over a fucking toy on the holidays.
Put the cookie down.
Sinbad kind of brought it on himself, and
Oh, Sinbad's a domestic terrorist in that movie.
Also, did you see they actually made like a Turbo Man action figure?
Oh yeah,
wasn't that like a Kickstarter or something?
That was a real thing.
Oh, it was? Yeah. Oh shit, I had no idea.
Yeah,
I remember seeing a Toy Story
thing as a kid.
The Turbo Man thing reminded me of the Furby craze back then, and I hated the fucking Furbies.
I didn't know there was a real Turbo Man thing. Okay, I had no idea. I remember in the movie. I remember the movie coming out, but I didn't see it until. Did I see that?
No, this is just recent. This is recent.
Oh, recent. Oh, okay. Shit, I had no idea. Wow. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Wow. All right. I love that we love that the last.
I know it ended on something mean, but that's my favorite
Claus.
Christmas memory.
There it is. All right. No, this is fun. It was great. I'm very happy talking about the Matrix with you guys and also doing these Christmas movies and traditions and memories, or holiday traditions and memories, that kind of thing. It's not even celebrates Christmas, but happy to have you guys be a part of it. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Austin. Thank you, Dr. Henry Stefan. Thank you, Thunder Lee. Thank you, Casfe. Thank you, Newsy Ducky. And thank you, Vanispheres, for being a part of this. Really do appreciate it. Thank you guys for listening to this. Hope you've been enjoying these Discourse. Again, we're going to be changing it up as we get into the new year. I've gotten a lot of great feedback from the people who participate in this with me, and it's been so much fun. But if you guys have anything you'd like us to cover in the future, I think it would be fun. Necessarily doesn't have to be movies or TV shows or cartoons. Like, we're going to really diversify Discourse. I'm really excited about that. So this might be the final episode for this year, because I think it's New Year's Day. And maybe if you guys want to do something for New Year's Day for next week, I'm happy to do it. I'll think of something. Maybe we can review something, or maybe again, we'll talk about it in a bit. But for those of you who've been listening to this right now, thank you so much, and bye. Yay!
Bye.
Very nice. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to you, and Festivus and National
Merry
Jewish
Christmas.
Chinese Food Day. Hell yeah.